Chapter 31 Uchiha Madara is not dead. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I'm disgusting about your brother-in-law. Danzo felt that he had suffered a terrible disaster. He obviously didn't have that orientation, and Hiruzen's words seemed to be forced by him. With Hiruzen's strength, could he force the opponent? Wrong, there was no way he could force Hiruzen. It was so abominable that he almost got bypassed by him. Hiruzen, please stay away from me from now on. I hate you very much. Okay, it's better for everyone to keep a little distance from each other in the future. Hiruzen agreed to Danzo's proposal. He didn't want to stay with Danzo in the first place, and this time he completely broke up. He fulfilled his wish. What are you doing so far away? In order to show his determination, Hiruzen was about to move the chair to be farther away from Danzo. At this time, he realized that Uchiha Kagami and 4 other friends had moved the chair 2 meters away from him behind him. The actions of the 4 friends immediately left Hiruzen speechless. Hiruzen, don't think too much. I just feel that if you are too close to the light screen, you will become short-sighted. God is so short-sighted. You, an Uchiha with 3 Magatama, still care about this distance. Yes, Hiruzen, you also know that my eyes have never been very good, otherwise I wouldn't wear glasses. Mito Kairan also spoke, supporting what Uchiha Kagami said. Kafong, Xiaochun, is this also the reason for you too? Seeing that Hiruzen's face was a little gloomy, Koharu turned to bed and didn't want to anger him, so she changed her reason. I just think it's a bit crowded for everyone to sit side by side. Let's move back a little and it'll be more spacious. Hiruzen nodded, agreeing with Koharu's words, and then he turned his attention to Akimichi Tifun, wanting to hear what kind of reasons the damn fat man could give. Noticing Hiruzen's gaze directed towards him, Akimichi Tifu did not speak immediately, but took out a bag of potato chips from his ninja bag. As a member of the Akimichi clan, it is reasonable for me to carry potato chips with me, right? Hiruzen, yes, that makes sense. Fong, then you should know that eating potato chips will make a very crisp sound. I don't want to affect you, Danzo and the teacher from seeing the light curtain. You have to understand my good intentions. Okay. Hiruzen was helpless. What the 4 friends said was reasonable, and there was no reason for him to get angry even if he wanted to. Sitting down again, Hiruzen became more and more angry as he thought about it, and decided to beat Danzo on a dark night, otherwise it would be difficult to relieve the hatred in his heart. As for Teacher Jean, although he is a good old man, and he is thoughtful and skillful, he is still the head of a village. But after Shippuden introduced Danzo, Hiruzen's character changed from an elderly idol of Konoha who cares for orphans to being forcibly tied together by Danzo. Then following the previous foreshadowing, after Hiruzen became the 3rd Hokage, because he had brought out 3 ninjas, and the configuration of the 3 ninjas was 2 men and 1 woman, it was believed that male ninjas would improve each other under the influence of female ninjas. The genin class has been reformed and the policy of 2 boys and 1 girl in the class has been implemented diligently. Of course, there are not enough girls. He thought that in this future genin class, all of them could grow up to be like the Sannin. It would be great to create love opportunities for underage ninjas who fight all day long. Uchiha Madara tearfully thanked Hiruzen for sending Obito, the best actor. Seeing this, Tobirama and his 6 students stood up in unison. Teacher, Uchiha Madara. Isn't he dead? Lin Tian's words brought a huge impact to them. If they understood correctly, it was because the 3rd Hokage reformed the genin class that he sent a ninja named Obito to Uchiha Madara. In other words, Uchiha Madara was not dead when the 3rd Hokage was reformed. Impossible, I personally collected the body for Uchiha Madara, he can't still be alive. Tobirama looked at Ban on the light screen, frowning and feeling particularly troubled. Mirror, do you think you Uchiha have any secret techniques that can cheat your death and hide it from me? Uchiha Mirror thought hard and then replied, I'm sorry, teacher, I don't know. Then you should look for information carefully when you go back at night. I will also go to Madara's grave. As a legendary ninja with the same reputation as Senju Hashirama, Uchiha Madara Tobirama would not dare to bury his body indiscriminately. No one except him knew where Madara was buried. Whether Madara is dead or not, I will know after I open the coffin. The third Hokage's office. The third Hokage was also very surprised when he saw Uchiha Madara on the light screen, but towards Madara, he was just surprised, counting the time. Even if Uchiha Madara wasn't dead at that time, he should be dead by now. What surprised him most was seeing Obito's name. In his impression, this sunny boy had the same noble qualities as his partner Uchiha Mirror, and he didn't look like a member of Uchiha at all. In other words, Obito did not die at Kanabi Bridge, but was rescued by Uchiha Madara. Since he's not dead, why doesn't he return to Konoha? That the third Hokage was a little puzzled. There was an Uchiha clan in Konoha that gave birth to him and raised him, but of course they are gone now. In addition to the Uchiha clan, there is also his best friend, Hatake Kakashi. In addition, his teacher at the time was still the fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato, so Obito had no reason not to return to Konoha. So, do you want to tell Kakashi the news? I think he will be very happy after learning that Obito is not dead, and he will trust me even more. The death of Hatake Tsukumo was a huge blow to the young Kakashi. He spent a lot of time and means to get Kakashi back to his usual self, but he also knew that there was an unexplainable gap between Kakashi and him. The main reason why he still obeyed him was because he was Hokage. As a ninja, it is your duty to obey the orders of your superiors. If he was in danger, Kakashi would definitely risk his life to save him. But for Kakashi to have a heart-to-heart with him and trust him 100%, because Tsukumo's death is basically impossible. At this moment, he had decided that as long as he didn't die tomorrow, he would tell Kakashi the news that Obito was not dead. If Kakashi doesn't believe it, he can wait for the light curtain to appear and bring him to watch it together. As the most outstanding figure of Konoha's young generation, Kakashi deserves such treatment. As for whether Obito is still there now, that's not his concern. In the ninja war, Hiruzen copied Tsunade's ideas and implemented the policy of equipping the team with medics, which greatly reduced the mortality rate. After the third ninja battle, Konoha defeated Iwagakure with difficulty, but Hiruzen took the blame and resigned. At this time, the plot is borrowed from Orochimaru, and Black Hiruzen wants to support Minato as the puppet Hokage. The third Hokage, Orochimaru is slandering me. He is slandering me. Is there anyone to take care of it? Modify the Tobirama timeline of Chapter 25. The end of World War I should have been the 21st year of Konoha, but I wrote the end of World War II as the 37th year of Konoha. Just changing the time will not affect the follow-up. Chapter 32 Ninetales Rebellion Gift Pack. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The third Hokage was incompetent and furious here. Sarutobi Hiruzen in Tobirama's office also felt very embarrassed. He didn't expect that decades later, he would not only be soft-hearted, but also have such a strong desire for power. The village has already elected the fourth Hokage, and he still holds on to power. But having said that, if he can use Naruto as a puppet, he has done something even more powerful than the first and second generations. Sighing, Hiruzen gathered his thoughts and continued to look at the light curtain. If it were the first part of Naruto, Orochimaru's words would be unconvincing. However, as the background of the snake cub gradually enriched, he also shed blood for Konoha on the battlefield as a Sannin, made contributions to scientific research, and belonged to the hero unit before leaving the village. As a result, Orochimaru and Sarutobi Hiruzen had a strange situation of waxing and waning due to the time span problem. From the first part, the evil Orochi meets the good old Hiruzen. In Shippuden, it became the story of scientific research Orochimaru and his encounter with the sinister third generation. The most embarrassing thing is that Orochimaru returned to Konoha to continue to dedicate himself in the end, which is outrageous. The third Hokage. Will Orochimaru return to Konoha in the future? That among the three disciples, the one that the third Hokage values the most is Orochimaru. When he saw Orochimaru straying into the wrong path, he was heartbroken and repeatedly stated that he wanted to kill him. Now that he knew that Orochimaru would return to Konoha, he was ecstatic again. He knew the talent of this disciple best. With Orochimaru's return, Konoha's strength will surely increase in the future, so he's confused now. Tomorrow, he was going to kill Orochimaru to make up for the mistake of letting him go before. It is better to let him go and leave some foundation for Konoha in the future. Hey, we can only take one step at a time. Tobirama's office. Tobirama was very pleased to see that Orochimaru would return to Konoha. As a fellow scientific researcher, he originally admired Orochimaru. It's just that the other party's identity as a rebellious nin, although he didn't say it, was still a little uncomfortable with it. It is inevitable for young people to make mistakes in their errands, and if they can rein in the danger, there is still hope. He didn't want to send someone to monitor Orochimaru 24 hours a day, lest he cultivated a monster for Konoha and then ran away. After learning that the other party will return to Konoha later, this shows that Orochimaru is not inherently evil. As long as he is educated properly, there is no need to monitor him at all. Not long after the educational results of Hiruzen's 2 boys and 1 girl were also accepted, Obito gave Konoha a gift package for the Nine-Tails Rebellion. The gift bag was full of box lunches, and the 4th Hokage received one and passed away on the spot. The 3rd Hokage slammed the table angrily. At this time, he looked at the masked man on the light screen gnashing his teeth, feeling very angry. Okay, I originally thought about asking Kakashi to find you and go back to the village, but I didn't expect you to be the masked man who killed the Yondaime. The 3rd Hokage no longer wants Kakashi to find Obito. He only has one idea now, and that is to kill Obito to pay homage to those who died that year, especially the Yondaime couple. You little beast, why did the Yondaime couple feel sorry for you, which made you want to release the Kyuubi when Kushina gave birth to her child? The 3rd Hokage really didn't expect that. Why did the original Uchiha Obito, a cheerful, smiling, sunny person who also liked to help others, become like this? Could it be Uchiha Madara? After thinking about it, the 3rd Hokage thought that this was the only reason. Obito must have been bewitched by Madara Uchiha, so he hated Konoha and killed the Yondaime couple, but this is not the reason why Obito can be forgiven. I will definitely find out where you are, and then avenge those who died in that disaster. Tobirama's office, because I don't know who Obito is and what happened to him. When Tobirama and the others saw this paragraph, they didn't have any special feelings. I just feel that Konoha will be a bit troubled in a few decades. Not only did he experience 2 more ninja battles, the 4th generation was killed by Kyuubi in the village, and the 3rd generation also died at the hands of Orochimaru during the Chunin exam. After all, the village is still not strong enough. Tobirama sighed. If the village is strong enough, will the Kyuubi be a problem? Not to mention that his eldest brother Senju Hashirama can control the Kyuubi at will. Even Senju Tobirama can suppress the Kyuubi in a short period of time. With the help of the sealing team, it is not a problem to defeat the Kyuubi. So it seems that the 4th generation's strength is a bit weak. After saying this, Tobirama glanced at Hiruzen subconsciously, as if to say, is this the 4th generation you will choose in the future? Fortunately, he was not ignorant. He knew that Hiruzen at this time was not even the 3rd generation, let alone the 4th generation. As for Obito, since he can release and control the Kyuubi, he is naturally a member of the Uchiha clan. Thinking of this, Tobirama sighed again. This Uchiha clan is really difficult to deal with. You should use him. Their mental state is not stable, and if one of them is not good, big trouble will happen. You don't need him, they are so strong, it feels like a waste if you don't use him. Fortunately, there are no extremely dangerous people like Obito in Uchiha now. Let Hiruzen handle the rest of the matter. I believe he can handle this well after seeing the light screen. Tobirama thought so. Hiruzen beside him suddenly felt a chill deep in his soul, which made him shiver. After the death of the 4th generation, when discussing the candidate for the 5th generation at a high-level meeting, Shikaku proposed to choose from Kakashi's generation. The 2 consultants moved to Koharu and Mito Manabu, but they believed that Shikaku, who had an IQ of 250, was really 250. Koharu and Mito Monahan moved to bed. Hawi finally showed up. Seeing the anxious atmosphere, Hiruzen waved his hand, tilted his mouth and said in a deep voice, don't argue over the mere position of Hokage. I'll work harder and work for another 100 years, /. Chapter 33 Uchiha's Second Son. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uchiha Fugaku wants to rebel. Of course Hiruzen will not let him do it and will definitely take action to counterattack. His method is also very simple, which is to plant spies in the Uchiha clan. He searched left and right and found Uchiha Shirsue's little fanboy, Fugaku's son, Uchiha Itachi. One day, Hiruzen found Itachi, touched his head, and praised him. You have the Hokage's mind. Chapter 34. The third inventory is completed, the new function of the light curtain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I said, do you want to be so exaggerated? That the four friends were once again far away from Danzo's position, making Hiruzen feel a little helpless. Danzo, on the other hand, snorted and said nothing. Just looking at his appearance, he was quite dissatisfied with these four people. Don't mind, we just don't want to disturb you from watching the light curtain. Tifan chuckled, took out a few bags of potato chips from the ninja bag, and handed them to Jing, Xiaochun and Yen respectively. Hey, okay. Chifeng had already said this, what else could Hiruzen say? I could only helplessly turn my head to look at the light curtain. The third generation who worked hard to maintain his character in the first part almost cried, shouting, Danzo, you are a rotten root, don't come here. Danzo, humph. But in order for Konoha's light and dark elderly idol group to debut, Hiruzen was forced to change from the old sun into the same shape as Danzo. It is true that the kind-hearted old Hiruzen, who had been away for many years after encouraging the Wushuang War, once again became famous in half of the ninja world. Soon, the fourth ninja war will begin. Seeing this, Tobirama sat upright instantly. The potato chip quartet behind them also put down their bags of potato chips and looked at the light screen carefully. Tobirama has long been interested in the information from the Fourth War period. Unfortunately, no matter whether he was taking stock of the first generation or the second generation, Lin Tian did not say a word about the fact that they were reincarnated by the dirt after death to participate in the Fourth War. After taking stock of the third generation, he could finally understand a little bit. As for the third Hokage, he was also very interested in the information about the Fourth War. He wanted to see what the so-called four battles were like, and which ninja village or villages Konoha was going to fight, thinking that every time there is a ninja battle, Konoha cannot stay out of it, especially in the Third Ninja War, when Konoha single-handedly challenged the other four major ninja villages. It was so outrageous. What's even more outrageous is that Konoha actually won in the end. The third Hokage was most proud of leading Konoha to win the second and third ninja war. Without my leadership, I don't know if Konoha can still win. The third Hokage looked worried, feeling that Konoha was gone, and he took jujube pills. Fortunately, Lin Tian did not worry the third Hokage for too long. Soon, the light screen showed the scene of the four Hokages being reincarnated by Orochimaru's dirty soil. Originally, Hiruzen and the dead Danzo paired up and made their sexual debut together. But I can't help but the snake cub misses his godfather. Soon, the snake cub Zuetu reincarnated into the past Hokages including Hiruzen. However, at this time, Uchiha Sasuke appeared next to the snake cub, trying to understand the Uchiha incident. This boy named Uchiha Sasuke looks like Izuna. Looking at Sasuke's face, Tobirama couldn't help but think of Madara's younger brother, Uchiha Izuna. Although they are hostile, Tobirama also recognizes Izuna's strength. Seeing this face again, he still felt a little melancholy. The third Hokage frowned when he saw Sasuke appear, especially since he wanted to know about the Uchiha incident. Is there something wrong with Itachi? That I know my own business. The third Hokage was somewhat disgraceful in this matter, and he would not believe that anyone in the village would tell Sasuke about the Uchiha rebellion. After all, there are only a few people who know the truth. Danzo would definitely not tell Sasuke. He wished the Uchiha clan would die. The only one who could possibly reveal it was Itachi, but looking at Sasuke's appearance on the screen, he probably didn't know much, otherwise he wouldn't have asked about himself after the Dirty Land. At this moment, the third Hokage became interested. He wanted to know how he answered Sasuke and what choice Sasuke would eventually make. The resurrected teacher Jean is confused. What on earth happened? Until teacher Jean got the new script from the screenwriter. At this moment, Hiruzen knew that everything had changed after Goto appeared. The former Hiruzen had long since died on the roof of Konoha's viewing platform, and now the one who has returned is Nyuguro Zenko. So Mr. Zan burst out with superb acting skills and answered Sasuke with Kage's thoughts. Ah, yes, Uchiha is the best. Chapter 35 Second and Third Generations. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the video was played, the third Hokage looked at the reward button on the light screen and hesitated, wondering whether he should give the other person something, but he only hesitated for a short while. At least this light screen lets me know something. Otherwise, I will probably die in the hands of Orochimaru tomorrow. After murmuring to himself, the third Hokage handed over his beloved pipe. Watching the pipe disappear before his eyes, he originally thought that the light curtain would also disappear with it. Unexpectedly, a line of words appeared on the light screen. The second Hokage Senju Tobirama wants to talk to you. Accept. Reject. At this moment, the third Hokage thought of a lot. If Teacher Tobirama really wants to talk to me through the light screen, does that mean that the video just now was also seen by Teacher Tobirama? That the third Hokage covered his face, suddenly feeling a sense of social death. It's like being alone at home. No matter what you do, even if you strip naked and run around naked, you won't feel anything wrong because no one is around. However, if there is an audience present, it is not an ordinary awkwardness. At this time, the third Hokage's legs were almost cramped due to embarrassment. After knowing that Teacher Tobirama had also read the inventory about him on the light screen, he didn't want to talk to the other party. Fortunately, he has experienced a lot over the years and calmed down after taking a few deep breaths. He stretched out his right hand and clicked, accept, tremblingly. What is Hiruzen doing 40 years later? Why don't you accept it? In Tobirama's office, Danzo looked very irritable. He wanted to scold the third Hokage through the light screen. At the same time, he also wanted to ask him why he would rather let the one named Minato be the fourth Hokage than let him be the Hokage. Am I not your most trusted partner? This is simply unreasonable. Danzo, be patient. Yes, Tobirama-sensei. Senju Tobirama could see it very clearly. If someone knew some of his dark history, he would not choose to talk to that person immediately, even if that person was his teacher. Hey, there's a picture on the light screen. The third Hokage did not keep the people in Tobirama's office waiting for long. After he chose to accept it, the light curtain synchronized the images of the two parties. Teacher Tobirama. Originally, the third Hokage was very excited when he saw Senju Tobirama's appearance. After all, 40 years had passed since Tobirama-san died to cover their retreat. He did miss Tobirama-sensei very much. However, when he saw the younger version of himself, Danzo, Uchiha Kagami and others on the opposite side, he wished he could close the light screen immediately and slap his own scalp. He couldn't help but feel numb when he thought that so many people across the street had seen his inventory video. Monkey, you are getting old. Senju Tobirama did not blame the third Hokage, but looked at the other party's old appearance with some melancholy. Teacher, I let you down. Senju Tobirama's words, you are old, almost made the third Hokage burst into tears. No one knows what kind of pressure he and Danzo's friends faced after they fled back to the land of fire from the Kumogakure border. No one knows what kind of pressure he faced during the Second and Third Ninja War. Others only saw the glorious side of him as the Hokage of the village. But they did not see how much effort he put into the development of the village in private. Moreover, as Hokage, he cannot make mistakes. Even if he knows that something is wrong, he cannot admit it. This is why after watching this video, he could still deceive himself and say, he did this all for Konoha, even though he knew that the Senju Tobirama in front of him was not the Tobirama teacher in his impression, he still honestly admitted his mistake. I'm not disappointed. At least Konoha is developing very well under your leadership. Tobirama was not comforting the third Hokage. That's exactly what he thought. He would not give any evaluation to the third Hokage's operations exposed on the light screen. It is not a rational behavior to rushly make comments without experiencing what the other person is going through. At best, it is just standing up and talking without pain in the back. If he were put in the other party's position, some things might not be handled as well as the other party. He was just a little regretful that Hiruzen Sarutobi, who became the third Hokage, did not move forward according to his expectations, but instead became a politician with a strong desire for power. That's all. Thank you, teacher, for your affirmation. After receiving Tobirama's affirmation, the third Hokage's eyes were filled with mist, and he could no longer hold back the tears of happiness. Old monkey, let me ask you, why don't you let me be the fourth Hokage? Seeing the third Hokage across from him with a smile on his face and tears streaming down his face, and then looking at teacher Tobirama with a calm expression, Danzo asked his question. Danzo, you are not suitable to be Hokage. Facing Tobirama-sensei and the third Hokage, he was still a little restrained and scrupulous, but facing the younger version of Danzo, he was not so particular. I'm not even worthy of the older version of you, let alone the younger version of you. What do you mean I'm not suitable to be Hokage? That it was obvious that Danzo was dissatisfied with the third Hokage's answer. Literally, if you don't understand, you can ask me, the young man next to you, to help translate. Ha ha ha. Hearing this, Hiruzen laughed without any scruples. Danzo's mouth twitched with laughter. The third Hokage opposite smiled so much that he looked confused. What are you doing? The third Hokage is really confused, because he and Danzo have always had a good relationship since childhood. Why is the younger version of himself laughing at Danzo? Doesn't the younger version of himself know that Danzo is petty? Forget it, I will fight for the position of Hokage myself. I don't need any of you to let me do it. Danzo snorted coldly, and then gave up his position to Uchiha Kage and the others. Mirror, it's so nice to see you again. With just one sentence, Jing knew that he should have died young. Otherwise, why didn't the third Hokage say this to Tofeng, but just said this to him? Really? I don't believe it. The third Hokage was silent. To be honest, besides Senju Tobirama, the last thing he wanted to see was the Uchiha mirror. It's not that he has any problem with the mirror, but during his tenure, the Uchiha clan was exterminated. Fortunately, the light screen video did not show this part. It only talked about Fugaku's rebellion and his search for Uwuzi. Otherwise, if Pei Jing knew that the Uchiha clan had been wiped out, he wouldn't be able to explode. By the way, monkey, your Chunin exam over there. Don't worry, Mr. Tobirama, I will definitely protect Konoha tomorrow. Okay, if nothing happens, that's it. Okay, Tobirama-sensei. Seeing that Senju Tobirama lost interest in continuing the conversation, the third Hokage nodded and took the initiative to click a red button on the light screen. When he pressed it, the images of Tobirama, Danzo and others disappeared. Hey, I didn't expect to see Tobirama-sensei again. The most important thing is that teacher Tobirama didn't blame me. Ahahaha. The third Hokage first laughed 3 times, and then smacked his palms fiercely, looking very annoyed. I'm so old. I actually forgot to ask Tobirama-sensei about the light curtain. In Tobirama's office, after the third Hokage hung up the phone, Tobirama was about to go to the place where Uchiha Madara was buried to see if Madara was still lying in the coffin honestly. However, when he was about to turn around and leave, he was surprised to find that the light curtain had not disappeared yet. What's happening here? Chapter 36 Tobirama, Uchiha Madara is not dead after all. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone in Tobirama's office discovered that the light curtain had not disappeared yet, and on the light curtain, new choices appeared. Do you want to apply to travel to the world of the second audience? Application rejection. Can we still go to Konoha 40 years in the future? That everyone was surprised when faced with the new choices that appeared on the light screen. The picture on the light screen only showed a small part of Konoha village. Just this small part made everyone present yearn for it. Now that they have this opportunity, Hiruzen and the other 6 of course want to go over and take a look for themselves. However, only Senju Tobirama can make this decision. It was Danzo who couldn't hold it any longer and asked, Teacher, should we go over and take a look? Senju Tobirama did not answer Danzo directly, but looked at several other students and asked, do you want to go over and have a look? Teacher, we want to go. Yes, Sensei, we want to see Konoha 40 years in the future. Tobirama nodded and continued, don't have high hopes. It says, apply, on the light screen. Who should apply to? I guess it should be the third Hokage. If he doesn't agree, we probably won't be able to get through. Even though he said that, Tobirama clicked to confirm. Just wait and see if the third Hokage will let us pass. At this time, the third Hokage was very confused. On the one hand, he wanted teacher Tobirama to come over and see how prosperous Konoha village was under his rule. On the other hand, he didn't want Tobirama-sensei to come over. Once Senju Tobirama, the second generation Hokage and his teacher, comes over, then who will Konoha listen to? Listen to Senju Tobirama? Then he was unwilling to do so. he is the actual ruler of this village. Do you want him to delegate power? Impossible. What if the village still listens to him? So what would his teacher, Senju Tobirama, think? He will definitely be very unhappy if he tries to judge others by himself. Your disciple dares to disobey the teacher. Then don't blame me for cleaning up the portal. Go to hell, Kuya. Thinking of this, the third Hokage couldn't help but shudder. My family knows their own affairs, and if I really want to fight with teacher Tobirama, let alone he is so old, even in his prime, he will definitely not be able to defeat him. So, do you agree or reject? Standing there, the third Hokage had been sweating profusely and thinking for more than a minute. He felt that if he didn't make a decision, he would collapse soon. This consumes much more energy than fighting with others. I don't know how long Mr. Tobirama will stay here. If it's only for a few days, it's not impossible to agree. Perhaps because he heard the third Hokage murmuring to himself, some words appeared on the light screen, which just answered his question. Travelers can only stay in other people's world for 1 hour. The time of travel can be any time within the next 3 days. Note, as more and more viewers are connected in the future, the time the traveler will stay will increase, the choice of time points will also increase, and the number of characters brought will also increase. The current official inventory number of videos is 3. Is this already the third inventory video? If my prediction is correct, the first 2 should be the first generation and the second generation. Looking at the notes on the light screen, the third Hokage felt relieved. Only an hour's stay, in such a short period of time, you can't do anything even if you want to. In addition, he could travel back at any time within 3 days, so the third Hokage agreed to Tobirama's application without thinking, and set the crossing time at 9:30 tomorrow morning. This time happens to be when Orochimaru activates Godfather Love Me Again. That it's time to launch the plan to collapse Konoha. The third Hokage originally wanted Jiraiya to pretend to be his bodyguard and deal with Orochimaru with him. It's okay now, Jiraiya should just be honest and responsible for dealing with the giant snake psychic beast outside the village. Orochimaru, let Tobirama-sensei and I deal with it. Presumably, Orochimaru must have been confused when he saw teacher Tobirama. Thinking about it, the third Hokage even laughed out loud. Orochimaru, no, why? Is this a real thing? Okay, it's agreed over there. After the third Hokage agreed to Tobirama's application, the light screen on Tobirama's side also showed the time when he would travel. Since the light screen played 3 official inventory videos, he was able to take 3 people with him this time. Faced with the situation of only being able to take 3 people with them, Mito Kadini, Koharu and Akimichi Tofu were a little disappointed. Because the 3 of them knew that teacher Tobirama would probably not choose them. Sure enough, Tobirama chose Hiruzen Sarutobi, Danzo Shimura and Kagami Uchiha. As for the reasons for these choices, it is actually very simple. First of all, the strength of the 3 of them ranks among the top 3 among the 6 students. Secondly, there's Tobirama's bad taste. He wanted to know what interesting things would happen when the young version of Hiruzen and the old version of the third Hokage, as well as the young version of Danzo and the old version of Danzo, met. Also, when Uchiha Mirror returns to the Uchiha clan, will the opponent think that Mirror is fake and attack unreasonably? Haha, Tobirama finds it interesting just thinking about it. Okay, it's over now. Let's all go back. After identifying the person crossing, the light curtain disappeared. There is no need for Tobirama and others to stay in the office. After leaving the office, Sarutobi Hiruzen found Orochimaru. The 2 talked for a long time, but they didn't know what they said. Uchiha Mirror returned to the clan, found a clan leader, and after obtaining permission, entered the library to search for information. It was simple for Danzo Shimura. He returned to his home and went to bed early. He wanted to recharge his batteries and show off in tomorrow's Konoha Collapse Plan, so that the old monkey could see his heroic appearance. Here in Senju Tobirama, as planned, by using the Flying Thunder God, we came to a hill where Uchiha Madara was buried. When he dug out the soil for half an hour, dug out Madara's coffin and opened it, his face suddenly darkened, because there was no Uchiha Madara's body in the coffin. It seems you are really not dead, Madara. Uchiha Madara is not dead, which is a very bad result for Senju Tobirama. In that battle, even his eldest brother was seriously injured. which eventually led to his death a few years later, and Uchiha Madara, who was stabbed in the back by his elder brother. Why should he not die? I hope I can gain something on the other side of the mirror. After muttering something, Tobirama spent some time restoring everything here to its original state, and then used the flying thunder god to leave this place. After Tobirama left, a pale figure suddenly emerged from the ground under a tree not far from Madara's grave. This person is none other than Baiju. I have been lurking here for a year. I thought I would always be so boring. I didn't expect that this second-generation Hokage has some abilities. He discovered that Madara-sama faked his death. I hope the next mission assigned by Madara-sama won't be as boring as this one. After Baiju muttered a few words to himself, he dived underground and started to rush towards the junction of Tian Country and Taki Country, and the name of this place is Mountain Cemetery. Uchiha Madara, who had cheated his death, was hiding here. Chapter 37 Uchiha Madara. You are listening at novelfull.audio. About 10 years have passed since the battle between Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama. During these 10 years, Uchiha Madara spent most of his time underground in the mountain cemetery. The reason is to wait quietly for the evolution of his eternal Sharingan. The reason why he knew that the eternal Sharingan could evolve was because he saw the ancestral stone tablet of the Uchiha clan, from the outside. This stone tablet looks very ordinary, just an ordinary stone, but using the Sharingan, you can see the words above clearly. Uchiha Madara has an eternal kaleidoscope and can see all the words on it. He clearly remembered that it said, a god divided yin and yang into two poles, and in order to seek stability, when the two poles are reunited, all things can be seen. From this, he guessed that their Uchiha was yin and Senju was yang. That's why when he fought with Senju Hashirama, he bit off a piece of his opponent's flesh, just to get Hashirama's chakra and get everything written on the stone tablet. Later, he used the Uchiha clan's secret technique Izanagi to fake death, deceived Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama, and came to the mountain cemetery, waiting for him to evolve into the power of all things. At first, he didn't know what this power was. It wasn't until a month later that his eyes began to slowly grow in power. You must know that his pair of eternal kaleidoscopes are already at the peak of their pupil power. Since they can continue to increase, then this all-encompassing power will probably evolve his eyes. The pace of evolution was slower than he imagined. His body is not as strong as Senju Hashirama. Even if he used Izanagi to change the reality of his death, he did suffer a lot of injuries in that battle. 9 years later, when Uchiha Madara thought he was going to die, his Sharingan finally evolved into the Rinnegan. And with the successful advancement of the Reincarnation eye, a black thing named Zetsu was also peeled off from Madara's body. According to this dark thing, he is Madara's will and the product of Madara's yin and yang escape. Madara would naturally not believe Zetsu so easily. It wasn't until Z let Madara channel the heretic golem and use the golem's ability to extend his life that he initially believed in him. The current role of the heretic golem, in addition to renewing his life for Uchiha Madara, also has a subsidiary product called White Zetsu. According to Zetsudo Haimanmu, Baizetsu is a creature transformed from the golem by using the Hashirama cells on Madara's body. With the presence of Baizetsu, Madara is not so boring anymore. He can know most of what is happening in the ninja world through Baizetsu. At the same time, under the deception of Black Zetsu, Madara decided to use his Samsara Eye to implement the Eye of the Moon plan recorded on the Uchiha stone tablet. However, even if the heretic demon continues his life, his body is already very old and cannot easily walk in the ninja world. So, to complete this plan, he needs to find a spokesperson. This spokesperson must not only have super strength, but most importantly, listen to him. Uchiha Madara, looking at the entire ninja world, there is no one from the Uchiha clan who is more in line with his requirements. Therefore, he ordered Baizetsu to keep a close eye on the Uchiha clan and tell him immediately if there were any suitable candidates. At the same time, he also sent a Baiju to guard his fake tomb. If anyone discovers his fake death, they must come and report to him. A year later, this White Zetsu who was lurking in Uchiha Madara's fake tomb finally returned to the mountain cemetery after driving all night. Madara-sama, I'm back. That every Baiju individual is different. Some White Zetsus are taciturn, while others are lively. Obviously, the Baiju who was sent to guard the tomb was a guy with a very lively personality. What's the matter? Madara glanced faintly at Baizetsu in front of him. He didn't recognize who this Baiju was. but in order to maintain his strong character, he could only pretend to know him. Madara-sama has a clever plan. Someone dug your grave and discovered that you were faking your death. Who dug my grave? Why does this sound weird? As soon as he finished speaking, Uchiha Madara's expression felt a little strange, and at the same time, he looked at Baizetsu in front of him with an unkind look. Baiju didn't notice this, and said with a playful smile, "What do you think? Guess your sister." Uchiha Madara remembered that the main reason why he sent this white Zetsu to guard his tomb was that this guy's brain circuit was a little different, and he couldn't stand it. If you don't say it, you won't have a chance to say it in the future. Looking at Uchiha Madara with a gloomy expression, Baizetsu immediately put away his smile and replied solemnly, "It's Senju Hashirama, the first Hokage of Konoha village." "What, Hashirama is resurrected?" Uchiha Madara's eyes widened. Obviously, this news surprised him very much. No. Baizetsu shook his head and continued, "It's Senju Hashirama's younger brother, the second Hokage Senju Tobirama." Uchiha Madara, Baiju, quiet, deathly quiet. Neither Madara nor Baiju spoke, they just looked at each other with big eyes and small eyes. Baizetsu thought Madara was playing a no-blinking game with him, and he didn't blink for a whole 2 minutes. In the end, Baizet couldn't bear the soreness in his eyes, but he didn't want to admit defeat, so he could only say embarrassedly, "Madara-sama, are your eyes dry? That I just stared at you here for 2 minutes. You didn't understand what I meant and got out of here right away. Then you asked me if I could stare at you." Madara suppressed his anger and said to the white Zetsu in front of him with a smile, "Baiju, I have always thought that you are the smartest among all Baiju. In addition, you came back in time this time. Come forward, and I will give you some rewards." And this Baizetsu is not too stupid. He knows that he may have made Madara-sama angry. Although he doesn't know why he made Madara-sama angry, it is better for a hero to sneak away first than to suffer the immediate loss. "Madara-sama, you're welcome. You should leave your reward to the other white Zetsus. By the way, I suddenly remembered that I left something in front of your grave, Madara-sama. I will go find it right away." After saying that, Baizetsu turned around and started running out without waiting for Uchiha Madara's response. Baizetsu is also naive. He offended Madara Uchiha and still wants to run away. I saw Madara forming a Ein seal with his hands, and then spitting out a huge fireball from his mouth. This is fire release, the art of powerful fireball. Baiju was careless and didn't dodge, or rather didn't move out of the way, and was burned to ashes by the fireball. In fact, this Baiju's death was not in vain. Through him, we can know that fire release can also kill people. Phew, it feels good. After killing this white Zetsu who made him unhappy, Madara suddenly felt much better. "Madara-sama, why are you making such a big fuss? The number of white Zetsus currently is not enough. We should make the best use of each one." At this time, Heiju arrived late and saw Baiju who was burned to ashes, with a slightly helpless tone. "I gave him a chance a year ago, but he didn't know how to cherish it. Besides, he's just a white Zetsu, so just kill him. Anyway, I am just your will, Madara-sama. Whatever Madara-sama says will be whatever it is." Madara nodded proudly. "Look, this is the attitude a servant should have. He, Uchiha Madara, takes the lead in everything. How dare he guess who discovered his fake death like this pile of ashes on the ground?" He was still breathing heavily when he spoke, which made him lose his composure. Just letting this scumbag Baiju die like this was really an advantage for him. Something is wrong with the timeline. Baizetsu, who had been lurking for many years in the previous chapter, was revised to have been lurking for a year. No need to watch it again, it won't affect the subsequent plot. Chapter 38 Arriving in Konoha 40 years later. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A year's plan starts with spring, and a day's plan starts with the morning. In the morning, Senju Tobirama and 6 disciples gathered in the Hokage's office for the time travel. Bekimichi Tofu, Vitamin N, and Utane Kohara didn't have time travel quotas, so they didn't need to come, but they felt that if they didn't come, they would seem out of place. It just so happened that they also wanted to witness how Tobirama and his teachers traveled through time, and see if they could find any loopholes. To let them travel with them, seeing that everyone had arrived, Tobirama said, I checked Madara's grave yesterday and found that the coffin was empty, which shows that Madara is really not dead. At this point, Tobirama looked at his glasses and asked, Kami, did you get anything from there? Kami shook his head and said, it's just that one night is still too little time, I need more time. Tobirama didn't make things difficult for Kami. He knew that a family like theirs that has been passed down for hundreds of years must have a lot of books at home. It's really impossible to find the secret technique that made Madara fake his death in one night. How about you, Hiruzen? Are there any bad signs from Orochimaru? Apart from the fact that Uchiha Madara is not dead, Tobirama is most concerned about Orochimaru. This is a genius of the next generation of Konoha, and he cannot be allowed to become a traitor as shown by the light curtain. Even if he finally returned to Konoha, he betrayed the village halfway and killed the third generation Hokage who was his teacher. It is a stain anyway. I talked to Orochimaru for a long time last night. He did have bad signs and kept discussing topics such as the meaning of life with me. Sarutobi Hiruzen touched his head and felt a little embarrassed. As a teacher, he was completely at a disadvantage in the conversation with Orochimaru. Faced with Orochimaru's questions, he didn't know how to answer. If Orochimaru asked him questions about escape techniques, he would not need to think about anything and could answer immediately, but the question of life is too heavy and broad, and it seems particularly difficult to answer these questions with his knowledge reserves. If nothing goes wrong during this time travel, you can bring Orochimaru to see me after you come back. Okay, Mr. Tobirama. Seeing Hiruzen agreed, Tobirama nodded and continued, by the way, there is something I should have told you and Kagami last night, so that you don't forget it after traveling back. I will tell you now. Touching his chin, Tobirama organized his words in his mind and said, you should all know that I sent members of the three families of Inoshikacho to protect the city lords of the country some time ago, right? The 6 students replied in unison, I know, Mr. Tobirama. That's good to know. The members of Inoshikacho are in charge of the city lords, but the daimyo has a different idea. He wants Hiruzen and Kagami to go and protect him. Teacher, I have no problem. Kami had no objection to protecting the daimyo and quickly agreed. It was Hiruzen who was embarrassed. Hiruzen, do you have any ideas? Faced with Tobirama's question, Hiruzen asked embarrassedly, Teacher, how long will Kagami and I be gone? I don't know, as short as 1 or 2 months, as long as 1 or 2 years, it's possible. Is that so? Hiruzen frowned and thought for a while, and continued to ask, then can I take my 3 students with me? Hiruzen felt that if he didn't take Orochimaru with him, when he came back, Orochimaru would probably become the shape of Tobirama. He didn't want his genius disciple to be snatched away by someone else, even if this person was Tobirama's teacher. The daimyo should agree to let Tsunade go, but he certainly won't agree to Orochimaru and Jiraiya. Tsunade and the daimyo of the Land of Fire are relatives, and the former calls the latter grandpa. Otherwise, do you really think that the title of Princess Tsunade is because she is the granddaughter of Hashirama Senju? The title of princess can only be held by the direct relatives of the daimyo of each country. If his granddaughter wants to protect him, I'm afraid the daimyo, as a grandfather, will be too happy to rush out. Jiraiya and Orochimaru are not good enough. These 2 are outsiders and cannot get close to the daimyo. Then I'm leaving. What about Orochimaru and the others? It doesn't matter. I will be responsible for teaching them. Tobirama said firmly. Tobirama has always admired Orochimaru. While Hiruzen is going to protect the daimyo, he can take him with him and teach him well. Tsunade, she is Tobirama's granddaughter, and Tobirama will naturally not refuse to teach him. As for the last Jiraiya, Tobirama felt that the person who could win the title of the 3 ninjas with Tsunade and Orochimaru in the second ninja war should not be too bad, so he simply taught them together. Do you have any other questions? Seeing that Tobirama teacher had arranged everything, Hiruzen had nothing to say. He could only sigh and replied, I have no questions. No problem. At this time, Danzo asked anxiously, Teacher, what about me? His meaning was very clear. Kagami and Hiruzen went to protect the daimyo, so what about him? Are there any other arrangements? In response to Danzo's question, Tobirama directly replied, you and Tofu and the others should just stay in Konoha with peace of mind. Is that so? It can be seen from the way Danzo clenched his fists that he was very unwilling at this moment. He didn't want to protect the daimyo or others that much, he just didn't want to lose to Hiruzen. Tobirama ignored Danzo's unwillingness. He looked at the time and found that there was more than a minute left until 9:30. He immediately took out 4 masks from the drawer, one of them was covered on his face, and the other 3 were distributed to the 3 people who were going to travel through time. Looking at the masks in their hands, the 3 asked in confusion, "Teacher, what is this?" "In order not to cause any trouble to the village 40 years later, just hide your identity a little and show the village's forehead protector." "I see." After hearing the reason given by Tobirama, the 3 of them quickly started to put on the masks. When they put on the masks, the time was exactly 9:30. In an instant, a rotating circular formation appeared under the feet of the 4 of them. Before they could see the patterns on the formation clearly, with a flash of white light, the 4 disappeared in the office. Akimichi Tofu, Yutane Koharu, and Mitoman looked at each other, without saying anything, but stood outside the office door in tacit understanding. They would not allow anyone to enter until the 4 Senju Tobirama returned. Konoha village in the 61st year of Konoha, in a small alley not far from the entrance of the village, with a wave of space fluctuations, Tobirama, wearing a mask, successfully arrived in Konoha 40 years later. "Where are Hiruzen and the others?" Looking around, Tobirama did not see his 3 students. He immediately realized that this time the 4 people should be randomly scattered anywhere in Konoha. "I don't know where the 3 of them are." Standing there and thinking for a while, Tobirama decided not to look for them, but to rush to the management desk, where the Chunin exam was held in the light curtain. At the same time, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who appeared in the bathhouse, was being chased by a group of women. Uchiha Kagami, who appeared in the suburbs of the village, asked a passerby and started to go to the Uchiha residence. Danzo was very lucky. He appeared directly between the 3rd Hokage and the 4th Kazekage. This undoubtedly saved him time on the road. He got there in 1 step. It was really a cause for celebration. Chapter 39 The Konoha Collapse Plan is officially launched. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Today is the final stage of the Chunin exams. The 3rd Hokage got up early and came to the Hokage's office. He has now arranged the inspection range of ANBU ninjas, and has also warned ninjas like Asuma, Guy and other ninjas, implying that something big will happen in today's Chunin exam, and asking them to be vigilant around them. Faced with the hint from the 3rd Hokage, Asuma and the others did not say anything more, but nodded solemnly, indicating that they understood. Originally, the 3rd Hokage wanted to arrange for Danzo, an old friend, but seeing that he didn't come to the Hokage's office, he gave up the idea. The 3rd Hokage felt that if a fight broke out soon, Danzo would not sit idly by. Seeing that the time was almost up, the 3rd Hokage, who had made all the arrangements, came to the Konoha viewing platform with several other guards including Namashirai. After waiting here for a short while, he saw the 4th Kazekage disguised as Orochimaru. "Hokage Dano is so old, but your health is still so good. Your Excellency Kazekage has given you the award." With the 3rd Hokage looking complicated, the 2 greeted each other and then sat down, one on the left and the other on the right. The location here is very good, with a panoramic view of the playing field below. The first match will be between Uzumaki Naruto and Hinata Niji. Orochimaru seemed very interested in the first game. He did not forget that when he was in the Death Forest, Uzumaki Naruto burst out the Nine-Tails chakra in an attempt to save Uchiha Sasuke from him. It's a pity that there are no eggs. With the Nine-Tailed chakra coat without even a tail showing, Orochimaru just moved his fingers slightly and used the 5-element seal to defeat the Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki of Naruto Uzumaki. There is strength, but not much. But it was Hyuga Niji. Orochimaru knew that he was a rare genius in the Hyuga family. It's just a pity that he is a member of a separate family and has the limitations of a caged bird, so he cannot be a container for him to turn around. Otherwise, in the forest of death, no matter what, he would be shot. What a great fight! Soon, the battle between Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga Niji ended with Naruto bursting out with Nine-Tails chakra, deceiving the opponent with a shadow clone, and defeating Niji with a friendly face-breaking fist. Yes, Naruto and Niji are very good kids. Looking at them reminds me of my 3 ineffective students. The Hokage thinks these two children are comparable to the famous Sannin. That the third Hokage chuckled, looked at the fourth Kazekage and said, whether we can compare or not depends on the future development of these little guys. Then I'll wait and see. The second match will be between Uchiha Sasuke and Gaara. Please compete as soon as possible. In the competition field below, Genma Shiranui, as the referee, is calling the players for the second game to come up, but at this time, Uchiha Sasuke and Kakashi were still on their way, after Shiranui Genma urged him several times but failed to see Sasuke. When he was about to announce that Sasuke would give up and admit defeat, the fourth Kazekage spoke. Why don't we let the ones behind us compete first? There's no rush anyway. Okay, I'll follow what Mr. Fongying said. After receiving instructions from the top management, Shiranui Genma skipped the second game and started the third game. Unfortunately, Kankuro of Sunagakure village chose to abstain in order to preserve his strength. Then the fourth game will be played. If Uchiha Sasuke hadn't arrived at the scene after the game, then Genma would have no choice but to announce that he had given up. Fortunately, Nara Shikamaru bought enough time in the match against Tamari, at the end of the fourth game. Uchiha Sasuke had just caught up. We're not late, are we? Seeing Kakashi and Sasuke appear, Genma breathed a sigh of relief and drove Kakashi out, leaving the competition stage to Sasuke and Gaara. This match was very intense. Sasuke cosplayed Xiao Li's moves, leaving Gaara confused. The audience on the sidelines was very excited and cheered loudly for the two people on the court. At this time, on the viewing platform, the fourth Kazekage looked at the third Hokage with some confusion, and asked, Hokage Dano, you seem to have been looking at the time. Yes. The third Hokage did not deny that he was indeed looking at the time and seemed a little anxious. Is there something important? This is indeed very important. As for what it was, the third Hokage didn't say anything. The fourth Kazekage was also very sensible and did not ask. In that case, then the fourth Kazekage originally wanted the third Hokage to go and do his own business first, but before he could finish speaking, a Konoha ninja wearing a mask suddenly appeared between him and the third Hokage. The sudden scene not only stunned the third Hokage and the fourth Kazekage, but also the young version of Danzo who was teleported was confused. Fortunately, the quality of the three of them is very good, and they only reacted in an instant. Damn monkey, you are still so grinding when doing things. As soon as Danzo spoke, the third Hokage knew who the person who suddenly appeared was. He smashed the pipe in his mouth and replied, I don't want to reduce the losses of some villages. That's right. The reason why the third Hokage is still here to play with Orochimaru is because he wants Orochimaru to activate the 4 purple flame formation and then cover himself and him in it. As a result, without the top combat power of Orochimaru, the rest of the Sound Ninja and Sand Ninja were all a bunch of scum in the eyes of the third Hokage. The picture on the light screen is displayed very clearly. In this battle, except that he and Orochimaru, hands, died together, it can be said that the losses to the entire Konoha village were not great. If Orochimaru's movements cannot be restricted and he is allowed to roam around the village, the damage to the village will be very great. You're right. Danzo thought for a moment and felt that the third Hokage was right, but he did not choose to shut up, but continued, then what do you think we should do now? How about we just pretend that nothing happened? Let nature take its course. Okay, just pretend nothing happened. Hearing this, the fourth Kazekage couldn't help but interjected and asked, Hokage Dano, what are you two talking about? Obviously, he was confused by the conversation between the two. The fourth Hokage couldn't understand what the third Hokage was saying about working hard and reducing the village's losses. He just vaguely felt that something was wrong. It's okay, let's continue. The third Hokage smiled and began to smooth things over. However, Danzo still resented the fact that the third Hokage did not let him here become the fourth Hokage, so he immediately interrupted his speech without giving any face, pointed at the fourth Hokage and said sternly. What happened to you has happened, Orochimaru, let's just catch him without mercy. Hearing this, Orochimaru's pupils shrank and he didn't understand why his identity was exposed. He had used the art of facial erasure to put the face of the fourth Kazekage on his own. Logically speaking, no one would notice that he was a fake. Fortunately, Orochimaru was also decisive. The moment his identity was revealed, he sent a secret signal to Kabuto, asking him to activate the genjutsu. Just in time, Gaara off the field was injured by Uchiha Sasuke's Chidori and fell into a violent state. That ferocious appearance was already on the verge of turning into a tailed beast. Then, the Konoha Collapse Plan is officially launched. Chapter 40 Reincarnation of the Dirty Land. The second generation complains about the second generat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A large number of white feathers scattered from the sky at the venue, causing anyone who came into contact with it to immediately fall into a deep sleep. This is the Nirvana Jinshi technique used by Yakushi Kabuto, an illusion that can make people fall into deep sleep. At the same moment, seeing Kabuto Yakushi successfully activate the genjutsu, the fourth Kazekage stopped pretending and kicked Danzo, trying to kick Danzo out so that he could take the opportunity to kidnap the third Hokage. When Danzo saw Orochimaru attacking him, he ran away without saying a word and had no intention of resisting for the third Hokage. Good chance. Danzo's concession made the third Hokage a little stunned, as if he didn't expect this guy to get out of the way. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Orochimaru used snake skin to move around, got behind the third Hokage, and successfully hijacked him to the roof of the viewing platform. I said it at the beginning, Hokage Dano, you are getting old. The third Hokage did not panic, and calmly took the pipe from his mouth, shook the ashes inside, and put it into the pocket of his robe. Okay Orochimaru, stop pretending, I already knew it was you. Really? Then I'm really impressed by you, Sarutobi-sensei. Seeing that his disguise was indeed seen through, Orochimaru had no need to continue pretending. He took off his bamboo hat, tore off his human skin, and restored his original appearance. You should know Orochimaru, since I have seen through your true face a long time ago, it means that your plan cannot succeed. I don't believe it. Then give it a try. Just try it. Orochimaru held the kunai with his right hand and used a strong force, successfully slicing the third Hokage's main artery. Orochimaru didn't feel the slightest joy about this, because he knew that what was scratched was just a clone. His judgment was correct. The third Hokage, who was bleeding violently, turned into a puddle of dirt in a second. It is the earth clone used by the third Hokage. At this time, the four sound ninjas were already in place at the four corners of the roof, and their hands were forming seals quickly. Ninja technique, 4 purple flame formation. After a while, a rectangular barrier with purple transparent flames appeared on the roof. Schwadat at this moment, Senju Tobirama finally arrived, and before the barrier was completely covered, he broke in with a flash. Old teacher. Tobirama was also wearing a mask at this time, but his appearance with silver hair and red eyes was still recognized by the third Hokage. Monkey, you are really old. Taking off his mask, Tobirama looked at the old face of the third Hokage and sighed softly. Teacher, you are still so young. After all, Konoha is only 21 years old where I am, and there is a gap of 40 years between here and here. No, it's not a matter of time. Teacher is always young in my mind, that you are still so naughty. Here, Tobirama was chatting with the third Hokage, and over there, Orochimaru felt bad when he saw Senju Tobirama's face. What's the situation? Haven't I used the dirt to reincarnate yet? Why does the second Hokage appear here? The shocked Orochimaru stared at Tobirama for a while, but he did not find the cracks unique to the dirty earth body on Tobirama's face. A terrible thought quietly appeared in Orochimaru's mind. Is there such a thing, that while Orochimaru looked at Senju Tobirama with excitement on his face, his hands were not idle either. He first untied a scroll and released 3 unconscious sound ninjas, and then began to quickly form seals, hoping to use the dirty soil to reincarnate. He wanted to confirm his suspicion and see if the other party was really the second Hokage. If the opponent is fake, then he can successfully summon the second generation of dirt. If the other party is real, he will never be born again. In both cases, he hoped it was the latter. Compared to destroying Konoha, he still hopes to have a like-minded person. Yes, he thought that the Senju Tobirama in front of him also used some secret technique like him to extend his life. Otherwise, based on age, the second generation Hokage of Konoha would have died of old age long ago. Teacher, is that okay? Orochimaru's intention to use the filth to reincarnate was obvious. The third Hokage wanted to use ninjutsu to interrupt, but Tobirama stopped him. It doesn't matter, I also want to know if he can successfully summon my dirty earth body. After Tobirama deliberately released the water, Orochimaru successfully summoned 3 coffins. The first thing to open was the coffin with a sticker with the word 4 on it. It's really empty. Looking at the empty 4 coffin, the third Hokage breathed a sigh of relief. Originally, facing the first generation and the possible second generation, he was under great pressure. If there was another 4th generation, he would really die. It's not that the 4th generation is stronger than the 1st and 2nd generations, but the 4th generation's famous stunt is the Flying Thunder God technique. In the opinion of the 3rd generation Hokage, the 4th generation Flying Thunder God is better than the 2nd generation. With such an elusive assassin, the pressure during wartime will be infinite. Fortunately, the 4th generation's soul was collected by the god of death. Even if Orochimaru had the physical tissue of the 4th generation, he would not be able to summon him. Failed. Orochimaru frowned. He also knew that the 4th generation's soul was taken away by the god of death. This time was just an attempt on his part to see if this forbidden technique could snatch people away from the god of death. Now it seems that the reincarnation of the Dirty Land still cannot defeat the god of death. But it doesn't matter. The real trump cards are these 2. In Orochimaru's expectant eyes, the coffins labeled with the words 1st and 2nd were opened one after another, revealing the figures of the 1st and 2nd generations inside. At this time, Orochimaru had not suppressed the consciousness of the 1st and 2nd generations of the dirty soil. When they opened their eyes and saw the 3rd Hokage, they recognized each other's identity at first sight. Yudu Zhujian couldn't help but said, "Monkey, long time no see, you are already so old." The 3rd Hokage was a little dumbfounded when he heard this, and said, "I am so old, I am really sorry, 1st Hokage-sama. Hey, who is this person next to you? Why does he look familiar?" Jutu Zhujian raised his head and made a thinking expression. Jutu Tobirama on the side couldn't stand it anymore, and shouted at Yutu Hashirama, "Idiot brother, can't you see that the guy opposite is pretending to be me?" Udo Hashirama suddenly realized, "I understand, there are 2 Tobiramas here. It's not that there are 2. It's obvious that the guy opposite is fake. I am the real Senju Tobirama." After yelling at his idiot brother again, Tobirama, who was standing next to the 3rd Hokage, asked angrily, "The guy opposite, who are you? Why are you pretending to be me?" Tobirama, the real person, covered his face and complained, "I just said that it is impossible for me to take only 6 students to sign a peace agreement with Kyomogakure without preparation. It turns out that I am so stupid in this time and space." Obviously, Tobirama heard the complaints from the real person, and immediately said angrily, "Hey, what do you mean? Isn't it obvious what I mean?" Tobirama, the real person, pointed at him and Hashirama of the dirty soil and continued, "You who were resurrected and reappeared in the world with the reincarnation technique of the dirty soil, shouldn't you first unlock the control of this technique, and then come back to the world with you? Do I speak?" After being reminded by the real person Tobirama, Udo Tobirama also reacted. He immediately formed reverse seals with his hands quickly, hoping to use this method to release the control of the evil earth reincarnation. Unfortunately, Orochimaru, who had been on guard for a long time, did not give Tobirama the chance to complete the seal. He took the first step and buried the talisman into Hashirama and Tobirama's heads, causing them to lose consciousness in an instant. Seeing that the eyes of the 2 people had dimmed, the real person Tobirama couldn't help but complained again, "You are so stupid.